Ooh, takes me a long time to push that main button. How y'all doing? It is what, week 4 of this? I'm not 100% sure. I think it is week 4. Let's see, we did 1, 2. I mean, honestly, 26 through 36. So really, that's week 3. We've done a couple episodes before that, but I think we're starting to get in the groove of things a little bit more. Yeah, so I'm going to get started on the first page of this, and then we can get started. I figured that we would sort of just kind of go over some of the flashcards more, some of the keynotes more. I'm missing things whenever I do this. We never even got to talk about Sodom and Gomorrah and Lot and his wife turning into salt, a pillar of salt. That's crazy. It's just things that are kind of important. Oh, don't tell me that I didn't bring my drink with me. I know I brought my drink, and I don't know where it is. I might have to get that. I am going to have to get that. It's got to be close. There's no way. No way that I didn't just grab it. I'm going to need that. I'll be back. I'm sorry. It was behind the computer. Of course it was. It wouldn't be a show without me forgetting something. I promise you that. It wouldn't be a day with Richard Hudgens if Richard Hudgens does not forget something. I don't know why I'm showing you the logo to this water. It's stupid. I guess because it's prettier. And that way, my wife is more chill about thinking that other people think that I'm drinking beer. Waterloo, not sponsored by anything. All right, so desktop slides. Let's get into this. I made these things. It's fun. Might as well do it, If they're dumb, they're dumb. I am going to read it a little bit more. It might get boring. Hopefully I can kind of stop and go as we please, but this is something, we are trying to talk about the story, and I'd like to talk about all of it. So I made a thing with ChatGPT. Actually, it was Grok. It's not ChatGPT. I need to stop saying that. Told it to go over 1 through 25 as quickly as possible. So Genesis 1 through 25 covers, and I'm going to read this as beautifully as possible. I'm not going to try to just glance over this. I don't know. Genesis 1 through 25 covers the creation of the world, humanity's early history, and the life of Abraham. God creates the universe, earth, and life in 6 days, resting on the 7th. I'd like to pause right there. I'm interested to know what you guys think that 7th day is. Is it Saturday or is it Sunday? I always believed that it was Sunday. I never even thought that anybody else thought that it was on a Saturday. I don't know if anybody knows, it did talk about the Sabbath, and if you did read, I don't know if he talked about, I guess we talked about it being the Sabbath. Maybe we didn't. Anyway, to me it's on Sunday. To the pastor at our church, at Church of the Crossroads, it's Saturday. So that's a question that I have. What day would it be for you? Anyway, Adam and Eve sin. They're expelled from Eden. And their descendants, including Cain and Abel, grow corrupt. This is the start of basically the demise of people. God sends a flood, sparing Noah and his family. After the flood, humanity attempts the Tower of Babel, leading to God scattering them with different languages. And like I said, those couple of things, it's really hard for me to get behind. I understand it's just when it reads like that, humans attempt the Tower of Babel, leading to God scattering them with different languages. I feel like that is just a simple story to just kind of explain the different languages of all of the other places. It's an easy way to put it. It's almost like Icarus flying into the sun. It kind of reminds me of that story. But other than that, after the Tower of Babel, the more historical parts, like Abraham and Ishmael and Isaac kind of separating, and Abraham being the father of three different religions: Islam, Judaism, and Christianity. This is the stuff that is easier for me to comprehend, I guess. Maybe that's a word that I'm trying to look for. Something that I can get down with. I don't know if that helps, but yeah. I feel like the more historical parts is something that I can get down with more when it comes to trying to figure out what this book is trying to tell us over 2,000 years later. Wild stuff. Leading to God scattering with different languages. God calls Abraham, promising land, descendants, and blessings. Abraham's journey to Canaan faces famine, deceives Pharaoh about Sarai, and receives God's covenant. I'm going to get a lot of names mixed up. I'm going to tell you that right now. You're about to figure some stuff out about me and pronouncing names. Sarai gives Hagar to Abraham, who bears Ishmael. God renames them Abraham and Sarah, promising Isaac. Sodom and Gomorrah is destroyed because they wanted to do naughty things with some angels. Wild. Cool story. This is why I wanted to talk about that. What a wild way to weave angels into the story. Wouldn't it be so nuts if, we just had angels just walking among us and blinding people whenever. I guess there's not a time where I can think of somebody trying to break down a door and sodomize a couple of angels to where they're going to blind anybody. But what a story. Lot is spared. Isaac is born, and Abraham is tested to sacrifice him, but is stopped. Sarah dies. Abraham arranges Isaac's marriage to Rebekah and dies. So there we go with that. We did pretty good. I didn't feel like that was too boring. Last time I felt like I looked at these keynotes and was like, I'm not doing this. I'm not going to be reading to people. But we'll give it a shot. We'll give it a try. So now we're at Genesis 26 through 36, where I told Grok, which, I'm only telling you guys these things because it is kind of new to us and you can use it. I'm not... It's kind of wild how these things are powered. I feel like every time I ask, Grok a question about, a couple chapters in this book, they're having to use drinking water to cool these machines down, which is crazy. I just heard about that today. That's nuts. These things are powered by some state-of-the-art computers, and they have to use drinking water to keep them cool, not regular water, because but they're in Arizona and they're using drinking water, so that sounds like it could go bad soon. Genesis 26 through 36. I asked Grok to briefly summarize this. Covers Isaac's life, his conflicts and covenant with God, and the early story of Jacob and Esau. Isaac prospers despite disputes with the Philistines over wells. God reaffirms the Abrahamic covenant to him. Esau sells his birthright to Jacob, who later deceives Isaac to receive the blessing. Jacob flees to Laban, marries Leah and Rachel, and has 12 sons. He wrestles with God, gets a bad hip, and is renamed Israel and reconciles with Esau. Yeah, Esau was about to whoop his little brother's ass for what he's been doing. He was being a bad boy. This section ends with Esau's descendants and the Edomites' genealogy. Then, just for shits and giggles, quarter in the quarter jar. Now explains 20. Now I asked it to 26:36 comedically. I'm not gonna read it, but it's up there. You can kind of pause it and see. It's kind of funny. So, yeah, that helped me. It's nice to. It's really hard to kind of remember this stuff, especially some of the not as cool stories as the Bible has. You know, some of this stuff is probably going to get boring and not as cool as, Jonah being in a fish or, Ecclesiastes or anything like that. That's going to be fun. I keep saying that, but it is going to be fun. I can't wait to do that one. But we'll talk about, we have the key characters, Isaac, who's the patriarch who receives the covenant, prospers in Gerar and passes the blessing to Jacob. So Isaac is his father. And Isaac, let's try to walk this back so we can get an understanding. Like I said, I think one of the reasons why I'm starting this video is for me as well. I want to try to understand these books as best as possible. So I am going to probably sit here and take a second to really think about, try to go back into the other books and try to figure that out, because I am a very forgetful person, and I'll read these things and forget, the next day. But I think this is helping. So yeah, Isaac, who is Abraham's son, he has Jacob. Jacob is the central figure, a deceiver who grows in faith, wrestles with God, and becomes a father of the 12 tribes. Esau is the wronged brother who forgives Jacob, father of the Edomites. Yeah, that's that big brother ass whooping I was telling you about. Quarter in the jar. Rebecca, the manipulative mother who favors Jacob and orchestrates the blessing deception. Rachel and Leah is Jacob's wives, whose rivalry produces most of his sons. The future tribe of Israel. Laban is Jacob's deceptive father-in-law who mirrors Jacob's earlier trickery. Yeah, I would have forgot all about him. He kept him there for 20 years, working on his farm just so he could marry Rachel, and he has to marry Leah. That's old time stuff, I guess. Of course we're not going to get behind that. That is stuff that they did back then, and we can't really... It's I guess, that's just the practices that they had back then, I guess. Dinah, Simeon, and Levi involved in the Shechem incident, highlighting family, honor, and vengeance. See? I don't remember that. So, we'll get to those things in a minute. The key themes of this, which I guess this is more for, this is more for the people that believe in the Bible, which is, I think that it's, I'm glad that we're putting these in here, that way I can get a better understanding of how they think. I'm gonna try to look in the camera more. I'm realizing that I'm in the screen too much. So God's covenant faithfulness. God consistently reaffirms his promise of land, descendants, and blessing Isaac and Jacob despite their flaws and challenges. Human imperfection, deception, favoritism, and violence highlight human sinfulness, yet God works through it. Divine providence. God protects and prospers his chosen people, guiding Jacob through danger and blessing him with wealth and children. Family dynamics, rivalry, Jacob versus Esau, Rachel versus Leah, reconciliation, and the formation of the 12 tribes underscores the complexity of family relationships. It hasn't really got very Christian-y, has it? I guess it really is just the key themes of the story. I should read these things before I start talking about it. Actually, and I purposely kind of did that because I kind of wanted to do it with you guys. But I have been putting these things on the discussion. So if you guys want to go back to those, you can do that and check those out too. Because the point of this thing is for all of us to read this thing. So, Spiritual growth. Jacob's journey from deceiver to Israel reflects a transformation through encounters with God, Bethel, and wrestling. Separations from others. Jacob's family is set apart from Canaanites and Esau's line, emphasizing their unique role in God's plan. I wrote all these down. This is where I feel like I'm starting to read too much, and I don't want this to be just me reading to you guys a lot. So if you guys do want to, we could go over the key points and stuff. I feel like maybe that'll help. Or how does God's promise, maybe I could get through these questions a little easier now that we have a better understanding. How does God's promise to Isaac compare to his promise to Abraham? And if we can, I have the answers right here. Which I don't really want to read. I guess, man, what should we talk about when it comes to that? I wish I had somebody to talk with. That would be great. Then we can kind of spitball back and forth. Well, give me just a second, and we'll just think about this for a second. We're going to kind of cool down. Maybe we can kind of get into, this is part of the book club. It is kind of cool that I did, we'll talk about that later. God's promise to Isaac mirrors his promise. I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to be the best that I could possibly be at this. Of course, too, whenever I start to come to a small point, I get a couple viewers. I'd like to see who it is. Sarah, I'm glad somebody got a laugh. I'm sure that's Jay laughing at me. Of course, too, whenever I'd like to see who it is. Just hopping on. What are we pondering or asking? That's a good question, Noah. We kind of got through all of the stuff. I read, let me get back to it, which I can't read it again, but, made these small little, brief little summaries for us to go over with 26 through 36, and kind of went through the key characters just so I can kind of get like a remembrance of what to even talk about with these things. These aren't like the fun stories. This isn't the creation and the Tower of Babel and Abraham, so it's not really, I don't know. It's a lot harder to talk about. We're gonna get to genealogy stuff, and that's gonna be something else. I think I'm going to have to start writing stuff down, which that's not what I'm looking to do. I mean, I don't really I guess we can. I guess we'll just go over the summary. And if I'm being too boring, then just kind of let me know, because maybe we could, let's just do that. Who cares? It's my show. I'll do what I want, okay? God reaffirms the Abrahamic covenant to Isaac, promising land, descendants, and blessings. Facing famine, Isaac settles to Gerar, where he deceives King Abimelech by claiming Rebekah is his sister. That's right, he did do that. They can't pick another lie, can they? Thanks, Jay. I honestly didn't read but a little of Genesis 26. I'm sorry, I suck at sitting down and finding time. That's okay, dude. That's alright, brother. Little at a time. That's kind of why we are doing as little as it is. Did you get a Bible, or are you reading it through the app? I'd like to know. We're going to go to the, we'll read the summary. We'll go to the questions and kind of just see how it is. How does God's promise to Isaac compare to his promise to Abraham? What does Isaac's deception about Rebekah reveal about his faith? I'm going to go to the answer for that, and then we can kind of talk about it from there. God's promise to Isaac. I don't even have answers to those things. I haven't done like study guide answers to books, honestly, ever, because school was terrible for me, and I just couldn't do it. So, yeah, but I really want to get a real copy too. Yeah, I do too, dude. I want to get like a nice I'd say leather, but they're expensive. But, a nice looking, cool, black, leather looking Bible. That'd be cool. Yeah, so God's promise to Isaac mirrors his promise to Abraham, emphasizing land, numerous descendants, and blessing to all nations, showing continuity in the covenant. Yeah, he did say that to Abraham. He said the same thing to Isaac. Isaac's deception, claiming Rebekah is his sister, that's what it's talking about, yeah. The lie that Abraham says echoes Abraham's earlier actions and reveals a lack of trust in God's protection during a vulnerable time, famine in Gerar. It suggests Isaac's faith, while present, wavers under pressure, relying on human schemes rather than God's promise. And that's very human of us, I think. I think that it would be nice to rely on God's promise rather than try to figure this out for ourselves. And I'm trying to do that. I think I'm in the New Testament. I haven't got to start on Luke just yet, but I'm getting this feeling where just trying to come to a place where I don't have anxiety anymore about just everything, about money, about life, about all this stuff, just kind of relying on whatever that plan is, whatever God's plan is, whatever God is to you, whatever God is to me, whatever that plan is. Because it is echoed through a lot of things, just stop worrying, focus on the present, don't focus on the future. I try to tell everybody that all the time, and stop focusing on the past. Like, there are great philosophers that, tell you to focus on the future, focus on the present. We can't change the past, and there's no point worrying about the future. We have no idea what's going to come. This is better. I feel good about this. I'm glad that we're reading this. Maybe I was wrong. I'm wrong a lot. You can kind of pause and read over this if you'd like, just to kind of get it for yourself. I think that we could go straight to the answers. It is cool that they have I did put the key verse on there. That is exciting. Let people serve you, and nations bow down to you. Be Lord over your brothers. Genesis 27. Was Rebekah justified in helping Jacob deceive Isaac? How does his events reflect God's sovereignty versus human responsibility? I'm going to try to answer it for myself, and then we will go to the answers. You're about to find out what Dumb Man's Book Club is. I think I've realized that I don't want to answer these questions because I don't want to sound dumb. So here we go. Was Rebekah justified in helping Jacob deceive Isaac? Let's try to figure out what he deceived her about. If somebody has it, post it so I can help me out. Let's see if you guys can get it. Was Rebekah justified in helping Jacob deceive Isaac? And we're talking about, what are we talking about? Is that where she, I know it. It's on the tip of my tongue. Don't do that, dude. Shut up. I don't know what that means. We're going to the answers. How does this event reflect God's sovereignty versus human responsibility? It'll remind me down here. Let me get onto this real quick. Rebekah's actions were not justified as they involved deception and manipulation, violating trust within the family. However, her motive stemmed from God's oracle that the older Esau would serve the younger. This event shows God's sovereignty. His plan for Jacob to inherit the blessings prevailed despite human sin, while also highlighting human responsibility as Rebekah and Jacob's deceit caused family strife and consequences, Esau's anger, and Jacob's exile. This was really hard. I don't know why I couldn't figure out who is the little brother in this situation. The older brother is going to bow down to the little brother. I think that's what it said. So the little brother is Jacob, because he is the one that the story is mainly about. And Esau is the big brother? Yes, he is the big brother, because he's about to give a big old... Jacob thinks he's about to get a big brother butt whooping whenever he comes back. So Rebecca's actions, what was it? His father was there, right? Is that what it was? Let's go back to the summary. Rebecca orchestrates a plan for Jacob to deceive Isaac and receive the blessings meant for... That's right. Jacob disguised himself as Esau with his hairy hands. And Jacob, that's in the picture right there. Jacob's blind. He puts a little, what is that, like a sheepskin to deceive his father and make him think that he has hairy arms. Wild. I just honestly figured that out. I didn't even realize that he's just covering himself so he can look like a hairy man, because he don't have any hair on his arms. Okay. Yeah. So there's that. I'm glad that I did this. This is so much better. There's other things that I'd like to talk about at the end of this, but really, I guess it could just be book club right now. If this is, again, like I said, is this something that people want to see? Because Genesis 28, Jacob's dream of Bethel. Fleeing to Haran, Jacob stops to Bethel, where he dreams of a ladder. This is Jacob's ladder. I still don't know. I guess this is where the term Jacob's ladder comes from. I found that out while reading this. Dreams of a ladder connecting heaven and earth, with angels ascending and descending. God renews the covenant, promising land descendants in his presence. Jacob vows to worship God and tithe if God protects him. Key points: the Jacob ladder vision reveals God's connection to humanity. God promises to Abraham and Isaac is reaffirming to Jacob. Jacob vows marks a step towards faith, though conditional. Yeah, so he basically has a dream. It's a pretty picture. I don't know who painted that. Imagine having that dream. That would be a wild dream to have. I don't think I've had anything that trippy before in my dreams. What does the latter vision of Bethel signify about God's relationship with humanity? How does Jacob's vow reflect his spiritual state? I ain't guessing. We're going straight to the answers, because you'll just sit here and have me just thinking the whole time. So we'll get to the answer, and then we can talk about it from there. Yeah, because I feel like I'm starting to be able to talk for myself rather than just read what Grok has to tell me. I feel like I'm reading you guys a boring book. The ladder with angels ascending and descending symbolizes God's connection between heaven and earth, showing his active presence and care for humanity. Yeah, so that's right. How I got this was angels coming down, blessing people, coming back up. It's in my head, it's beautiful. I'd really like to paint that picture of an actual ladder rather than the staircase that they had of just angels coming up and down ladders from the clouds. It's kind of cool. Jacob vows to worship God if he protects and provides, reflects a conditional faith, indicating his spiritual immaturity. He is beginning to recognize God but still bargains, showing a faith that is growing but not yet fully trusting. It probably really is good for me to start reading this stuff, because I guess I am learning it. When I read it to you guys, it makes more sense. So I guess it's going to be me reading, and then hopefully I can start, just kind of weaving myself in and out of that. We can kind of run through these pretty quick too, and then, oh my God, I can't believe it's 42 minutes already. Genesis 29, Jacob, Rachel, and Leah. Wow, we got a lot, don't we? We got a lot. And so we kind of got to go over the summaries because I can't talk about any of this without. It's just not there for me. Like the story just doesn't stick. Like I guess I'll remember him after doing this. Let's keep going. I don't like it. I really don't, but we'll keep going. Luckily, there's only two of y'all, so one of them's probably me. Jay, I think it's probably you. Summary: Jacob arrives in Haran and meets Rachel, Laban's daughter, and agrees to work 7 years to marry her. Laban deceives Jacob by giving him Leah instead, and Jacob marries Rachel after another 7 years of labor. Leah bears 4 sons, Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah, while Rachel remains barren. Yeah, so Leah, the one that he didn't even want to be with, is having all of his babies, and Rachel hasn't had. I'm still here. What's up, Noah? I knew that. You know, it's funny, Noah, because I knew you were here. When I said that, I'm like, no, that's Noah. Love you, brother. Hope you got your dishwasher figured out. Yeah, and then Genesis 30. So we're going to go into 2 questions. It'll be 2 chapters. Rachel, envious of Leah's children, gives her servant Bilhah to Jacob, who bears Dan and Naphtali. Leah responds by giving her servant Zilpah, who bears Gad and Asher. Leah later bears Issachar, Zebulun, and Dinah. Rachel finally bears Joseph. Yeah, Rachel has a baby, and that's Joseph. This is where Joseph comes in. I would imagine this is the second person. This is the next person that we'll be reading about is Joseph. It's pretty funny. Joseph, my daughter Haley, who is 15 years old, just came off just spouting facts about Joseph not too long ago. I guess she learned it I guess it was a story they were learning about religion in school, and Joseph was the one that came up, and she remembers this stuff a lot better than me. So she's also still interested. I don't know if she's read it yet, but I'm here for her whenever she wants to. Jacob outwits Laban to gain wealth through selective breeding of livestock. Yeah, so I don't really remember exactly when it came to the livestock, but I guess he, from what I understand, he got all the speckled and spotted sheep and started mating with those, mating those sheep with all the other speckled sheep, and I guess those were the good sheep. So that's where he made all of his money. Let's see what the question is. How does Laban's deception of Jacob parallel Jacob's earlier actions? What does God's blessing of Leah reveal about his compassion? Laban's deception, giving Leah instead of Rachel, mirrors Jacob's deception of Isaac, as both involve trickery to gain a desired outcome, showing poetic justice in Jacob facing similar deceit. God's blessings of Leah with children, despite her being hated, unloved by Jacob, reveals his compassion for the overlooked and marginalized, affirming his care for those in distress and his role in fulfilling the covenant through her sons. Yeah. Okay. Well, all of this is just kind of honestly, I don't know. Genesis 31, Jacob flees from Laban. I'm still just getting used to reading this stuff to you guys. I'm just sitting here just wondering how silly it is. Critique this, Jay and Noah. Let me know how you guys feel about this. I need to know. Summary. God instructs Jacob to return to Canaan. Jacob flees with his family and possessions, but Laban pursues him. Rachel steals Laban's household gods, hiding them. After a confrontation, Jacob and Laban make a covenant of peace at Mizpah. I will say this, and this is stuff that I don't even, I guess, honestly, like, I'm not even, it's almost like you're afraid to admit it, but, like, you read this stuff and you just don't remember it. Like, it's just so hard to retain all of this information. And you want to, and I guess this is a good thing that I'm going over this book again. And I guess this stuff is going to help. I guess I just, I don't want to. I don't want to find. I don't like to be bored, I guess is what I'm saying. You know what I want this to turn into something that I do for a long time. I don't like people asking me how long do I plan to do this. Just speaking, just talking, just going through my head. Why might Rachel have stolen Laban's household gods? That was a wild part of the book that I didn't really understand either. I think that how does God protect Jacob in this chapter? Let's go to the answers and just figure this out. Rachel likely stole. I think your notes would be. Help understand the people's group before your mentions right now. Noah, I think your notes would help if it could draw a connection to future passages that help understand the people groups being referenced right now and how they're moving through the lands. I remember that. We'll talk about that. We'll figure that out. Let's get the household gods thing, because I would like to know the answer to this. Rachel likely stole Laban's household gods, either for their perceived spiritual value, reflecting lingering pagan influences in her upbringing, or as a claim to inheritance rights, as such idols sometimes signify family authority. God protects Jacob by warning Laban in a dream not to harm him, ensuring Jacob's safe departure from Haran, and by guiding him back to Canaan, demonstrating divine faithfulness of the covenant despite human conflicts. Yeah, we will just read. I keep saying it, but yeah, we'll just keep going. I'm very new to trying to learn more about the Bible, and this is just a great push for me to have goals. I did plan and try to read the chapters, but my problem is this ADHD I have and trying to focus when I read and remember anything. And what Noah said too. Gotcha. We'll read over it, and then we'll just talk. I'll just kind of turn it into a little podcast afterwards and just kind of tell what's going on with me and speak about what I plan to read later. I did get a book done, so that's cool. Verse 30 points to the inheritance thoughts on stealing the idols. I'll look at that. I do want to see that. I will look at that. Summary. Hello, Brian. It's nice to see you, brother. Jacob prepares. I'm just sitting here reading to you guys now. Hopefully trying to find, I guess just trying something different. Because why not? Why not? You shouldn't be scared. It might work, it might not. We'll see. Sorry I'm late, brother. The fact that you even just push the button to listen to my voice is just more than enough for me. So thank you very much. It's nice to see you, like I said. Genesis 32, Jacob prepares to meet Esau. Like I said, this is that feeling where like you're the little brother and you did some stuff to your big brother, like you broke one of his toys or something like that, and he found out that it was you, and you have to go confront him. So Jacob didn't really break. He didn't break Esau's toy. He took his blessing from him, and that's very important. So yeah, I'd be scared too. I'd be scared to get that butt whooping from my big brother like that. It's kind of funny. It made me laugh the whole time. Jacob prepares to face Esau, fearing retribution. Yeah, I bet, brother. He prays for God's protection and sends gifts to appease Esau. Yeah, I've done that before too with my older brother. I kind of just try to butter him up a little bit before I get held down and nice, pretty little Indian burn, farts in my face, all that kind of stuff. My big brother was a punk. Just kidding, Casey. Receiving a blessing with a new name, Israel. So Jacob is now Israel. Let's remember that. You don't know how much this warms my heart. Thanks, Brittany. I appreciate that. I appreciate you being here and saying hello. Key points. Jacob's prayer shows growing faith and dependence on God. The wrestling encounter marks a transformative moment, renaming Jacob as Israel. God's grace prevails despite Jacob's fear and past. And the key verse is, your name shall no longer be called Jacob, but Israel, for you have striven, and with men, and have prevailed. So yeah, he gets into a wrestling match with God. I mean, I want you to think about because I'm sitting here just thinking about what wrestling God would look like. Like, what is he wearing? Is it white? I mean, does he look like a regular person? Does he look like the God that we kind of just think that the God that we think in our heads, where it's just this old man with a big, huge beard? I almost think of like a Zeus character from Hercules, the Disney movie. That's kind of how I picture God. That's how I picture the human form. And there is a wrestling picture that I saw in there. Is it? It's not in here? I know it is. Yeah. There it is. Then we didn't get to 32-33. Jacob and Esau reconcile. Esau warmly receives Jacob, accepting his gifts and offering peace. Jacob settles in Canaan, building an altar to Shechem to worship God. Key points. Reconciliation demonstrates God's forgiveness and God's restoration. Jacob's altar reflects gratitude and worship. The peaceful reunion contrasts with earlier hostility. Key verse. But Esau ran to meet him, embrace him, and fell on his neck and kissed him, and they wept. We don't do that anymore. I couldn't imagine going up to my brother and just, no thank you. What does Jacob's wrestling with God symbolize? How does Esau's forgiveness challenge or conform your understanding of reconciliation? I will say that this book is about forgiveness. And when I say the book, I mean the Bible. It's cool to see things being foreshadowed. I think that's what I mean. When it comes to forgiveness. Forgiveness is a hard thing to do. It's one of the hardest things to do. And I feel like it's probably, for your sanity and for just all of the energy that gets put out there, like, forgiveness is probably the most important thing that you can do to just live a stress-free life. One of the things that happened to me when I started reading the Bible is it was easier for me to, I guess, see, forgiveness is I guess I'm getting a better understanding of it. To be at peace, yeah. I appreciate that, Stephanie. To be at peace, yes. Jay Tower, forgiveness is very hard. You ain't wrong, but damn, it is powerful once you do it. Yeah, and you're supposed to do it for everybody. So everybody that has ever done anything terrible for you, you forgive them and you love them. And I honestly believe that you'll live a longer life when you don't hold grudges and you don't burn bridges and you understand that people are people and we're going to do things that we don't agree with, and we have to forgive them. My baby's coming in here. Noah, the Jacob story is all about a guy who doesn't believe he's going to get God's blessing, so he spends his life hurting everyone around him. He tries to scheme and steal the blessing and abundance for himself instead of trusting that, hey man, that's a very good way to put this. You basically summed it up better than how Grok did it for me. Instead of trusting that God is going to give it to him. Yeah, that is what the story is. You're absolutely right, Noah. You basically just put it into words for me, and thank you for that. I appreciate that. But yeah, like I said, forgiveness. Could you imagine? I honestly thought that Esau was going to. I did not think that forgiveness was the option here. I did not think that he would do that. It's cool to see. We'll talk about forgiveness more. Let's get through this. Genesis 34, the Dinah incident. I don't remember the Dinah incident at all. I don't remember why Dinah is in here. I don't remember none of it. Dinah, Jacob's daughter, is raped by Shechem, a Hivite prince, who then seeks to marry her. Yeah, this is a great story of the book, and I wish that I would have read this stuff on the other parts. So here we are. I understand kind of what's going to happen here, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, hopefully, if I can remember. Simeon and Levi deceive and slaughter the men of Shechem in revenge, angering Jacob for endangering the family. Look, I don't have sisters, but I understand it. I get it. This is the part of me where I thought it was, honestly, here's a quarter of my swear jar. I thought it was pretty badass that they did that, to be completely honest. Key points. The incident highlights the dangers of intermingling with Canaanites. That's tough. Simeon and Levi's violence reflects zeal, but also recklessness. Jacob's concern focuses on survival and reputation. You have brought trouble on me. Key verse 34:30. You have brought trouble on me by making me stink to the inhabitants of the land. What was so? I don't understand. You guys are gonna have to, Noah or Brian, help me understand why they started fighting the Canaanites in the first place again. Why are they in? Why are we doing this? Why are we at war with people? Is it just because we are people and that's just what we do? Like, is that just the nature of us? Is that, we have these, we just can't get along, even though this book's trying to tell us to? I don't, I need to figure that out. I'm all about peace, and right now, the part with the Canaanites and them fighting each other throughout the book is I could understand why that would leave bad tastes in people's mouth. Question 7, Genesis 34. Were Simeon and Levi's actions defensible? How should Jacob have handled the situation with Dinah? Let's see what they have to say. Let's see what Grok has to say, because I know how I feel about it. Simeon and Levi's actions slaughtering Shechem's men, maybe a couple slaps. I don't know about slaughtering. Slaughtering is a crazy word. Were not defensible, as their violent response to Dinah's rape was disproportionate, deceptive, and endangered the family. While their zeal for family honor was understandable, their methods were sinful. Yeah, I would say so. Jacob should have sought justice through negotiation or divine guidance rather than remaining passive initially, though his rebuke of Simeon and Levi show concerns for the family's survival and reputation. Genesis 35, and we're almost done. We have 2 more, and then we can just, kick it if you want. I can talk about, I've finished this, that psychology book. That's a big feat for me. I think that was 2,200 pages. I'm done. I was reading that with the Old Testament. Now I'm done. Genesis 35, God blesses Jacob at Bethel. Here's the summary. God calls Jacob back to Bethel, where he builds an altar and purifies his household of idols. So idols are gone. We don't like those. God does not like idols. See you, brother. Nice to see you, Brian. God reaffirms the covenant, renaming Jacob Israel and promising descendants. Rachel dies, giving birth to Benjamin, and Isaac dies, leaving Jacob and Esau to bury him. Key points. Returning to Bethel signifies spiritual renewal. Rachel's death and Benjamin's birth complete Jacob's 12 sons. Isaac's death marks the transition to Jacob's leadership. Key verse. I am God Almighty. Be fruitful and multiply. A nation and a company of nations shall come from you. Why is Jacob's return to Bethel significant, and how does the completion of his 12 sons fulfill God's promise? Jacob's return to Bethel is significant as it fulfills God's command and marks spiritual renewal as he purifies his household of idols and builds an altar, recommitting to God. The birth of Benjamin, completing Jacob's 12 sons, fulfills God's promise of numerous descendants, as these sons become the founders of 12 tribes of Israel, the nucleus of the covenant nation. Of these sons become, And then we have Genesis 36, and I think that is the end of that. I guess these are good. These things are good because these stories, the minor stories in this book is going to be. It would be so. I would not have been able to do this without this. So I'm glad that we did that. I think Noah, you were the one that said that you liked the keynote. So thank you for that suggestion. Thank you for that. For that comment. Summary. This chapter lists Esau's descendants who become Edomites and their kings and chiefs. Esau settles their seer, separates from Jacob due to their wealth and livestock. So everything is good. They all have wealth. They all have livestock. They're all doing well. Key points. Esau's line is distinct from the covenant line of Jacob. The chapter fulfills God's promise to make Esau a great nation, though not the chosen one. The separation of Jacob and Esau avoids conflict. 36 6 through 7. Esau took his wives and went into the land away from his brother Jacob, for their possessions were too great for them to dwell together. Last question. Why is Esau's genealogy included? How does it contrast with Jacob's role in God's plan? It's a good question about Esau's genealogy. His genealogy is included to show God's fulfillment of his promise to make Esau a great nation, though not the covenant line, which the covenant line is basically to Jesus. It contrasts with Jacob's role. As Esau's descendant, the Edomites settle outside Canaan and Seir, while Jacob's line, Israel, is chosen to inherit the promised land and bless all nations, highlighting the distinction between God's general blessings and his specific covenants. That wasn't the last question. We have an overall question. How do these themes of deception, providence, and covenant shape the narrative of Genesis 26 through 36? And what lessons can we learn about trusting God through flawed human actions? Good question. Deception creates conflicts, but highlights God's providence as he works through human flaws to fulfill his covenant promises of land, descendants, and blessings. So that is one of the cool things that I picked up on as well, is how, even with Rebekah deceiving Abraham, it all still worked out how God planned it. And he works through the flaws of people, which is good because, we are a flawed people. And it's good that he understands that, because it wouldn't be good if he didn't, I guess. The covenant shapes the narrative as God's unwavering commitment to Abraham's line drives the story despite humans' failures. Lessons include God's plans prevail despite our mistakes. Trusting him requires humility and repentance, and his faithfulness calls us to grow in faith even when we stumble. I will not go over these mind-blowing facts with you guys. You guys can read them for yourselves. I've put them in the discussion group. I wish it wasn't this long. That way we could go over it. There it is. Mind-blowing facts for you guys at the end. If you guys wanted to go to the discussion group and talk about it, I have posted those. We're done. We got through it. We need to figure out what we're going to read next. Next week, I will not. Noah, the genealogy of Esau in Genesis 36:16 matters because it displays God's covenant faithfulness, establishes historical context for Israel's future conflicts, aligns with archaeology, affirms textual reliability, and ultimately services. That's all right, brother. And ultimately serves the greater biblical narrative that points to salvation in Christ. Yeah, dude, where are you getting that stuff? Did you just write all that stuff down off of the top of your head? That's crazy, dude. I need to pick your brain soon. We need to get on here and speak about that because it would be fun. I was saying I will not be here next week. I am going on vacation with my family, and I thought about maybe getting on Thursday and doing something with my phone, but no, I think I'm gonna go and hang out with my babies and not worry about work, not worry about home life, and really just enjoy my time with my babies. Sorry, I'm looking up what we need to read next. So yeah, Abraham's covenant. Let's see. I need to figure out. Sorry, fellas. We just read 26 through 36 of Genesis this week. For the book club, what should we read next week? (37 through 50). This section wraps up with the book of Genesis, focusing on Joseph's story from his dreams and betrayal to his rise in power in Egypt. There we go. We are almost done with. We're almost done with Genesis. Will that be next week? That's kind of cool. Is there 50 books in Genesis? There are 50 books in Genesis. Well, there you go. We got through me reading to you guys a bunch. I hope you'd enjoyed it. I enjoyed it, actually. I actually really enjoyed doing that. It was fun. GotQuestions.org is a super helpful tool, brother. Cool. I'll look into that for sure. Yeah, so I won't be here next week. So we'll read through that from, for 2 weeks, not next Thursday, but the week after. And we'll go from there. We'll read about Joseph, and we'll be done with Genesis. And then maybe after we do that, I've been thinking about how we could possibly redo just a whole recap of Genesis on one of the episodes. And really maybe, take our time with this. I also have been going back and forth about maybe throwing in a book here and there in between Genesis. I don't know if you guys want to do that. That'd be fun. Like I said, I finished that psychology book, which is just it's a college textbook that I wanted to get done. I have my reasons for it, and one day we'll talk about why I wanted to read that along with the Bible together. Both of both of those things together have been a core staple in my life. And I guess I've learned that, and I've always been like this. If I want to figure something out, and if I want to learn something, then I have to get all of that information for myself, and I can't rely on other people for that, and that includes some of the psychologists that and doctors that I've heard from here recently because of situations that I'm going through with a family member. And that's all I'll say from there. I would love to talk about it with you guys. I would like to be more candid about things that are going on with me and in my life. I think that it probably could help. I think that it's good to open up. One of the things that psychology book taught me was just how important it is to be open with the people that you love and the people that you care about. And there's a lot of people that are out there that all of you, I care, like I said, I literally genuinely care about everybody. And when I start, it's crazy because this is one of the reasons why I got excited to do this, is because the Bible is helping me do that. And wow, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I don't even know where to go with that. Like, I don't even know what I'm supposed to completely do with that, because I am a very analytical person. I do believe in evolution. I have things that I do agree with and things that I don't agree with. I understand that the times were different back then, but I think the New Testament honestly will change my mind about it. I think the Old Testament, it's a necessary part of the story, but it's almost a little more, it's kind of barbaric. And the New Testament just sort of, for some reason, I don't know why I thought about this, and it just popped up in my head, but the new version just kind of the New Testament sort of reminds me of the 70s a little bit. I don't know if it's like the 60s and the 70s, and the Civil War and World War II reminds me of the Old Testament for some reason, like the barbarianism of the Civil War and World War II. It just reminds me of the Old Testament and the 60s and the 70s and the love and all that stuff. And honestly, the psychedelics as well reminds me of the New Testament. So yeah, there I am. I'm done with that part of the book, or I'm done with that book. This is honestly the first book that I have finished, especially one that's that big. I am embarrassed to tell you the books that I have read in my life. It's bad enough I do hair, so whenever I tell you guys that the only books that I've that I've read are The Hunger Games, let's see, and a couple of the Twilight books, and I'm not telling y'all. It's kind of, why did I read those books? Because that book was sitting there. Listen, the more and more that I sit with that and stew on that and have told you guys that those are the books that I've read, is going to haunt me one day, because I know Jay has something to say about it. But yeah, those were my wife's books that she brought from her living space to my living space, and it became our living space. It was a box. Those were hers. I read her Twilight book. It was a good book, whatever. Movies aren't nearly as good as the books. So yeah, those are the only books that I've really actually sat down and finished. So this is different. Honestly, this is different, and this is fun for me. I like this. I hope you guys like it too. Now that I'm done with that, I have, like I said, the Old Testament or the New Testament, I haven't got a chance to read Luke, and now I feel like if I don't find another book, which I'm fine with, like I do want to finish the New Testament, and I want to finish it soon. Like, I'm really excited to dive back into that. Because it's wild that it's wild the layout of the New Testament, because the first two books, which is Matthew and Mark, is just basically their accounts of Jesus's life to crucifixion, and I've never really seen a story written out like that, so that's pretty cool. I'm excited to finish that. I've been thinking about other books that I'd like to start with. The Crusades is one of them. I'd like to read about that, and why they did why they did the things that they did through the Crusades. The fall of the Roman Empire. I think that's a wild part of history where, the Romans are the ones that killed Jesus, and look where the Romans are today. So that'd be fun too. I'd like to know that story. I honestly think that it could mirror some of the stuff that we got going on in this country right now. It's one day I'm going to talk about that stuff. I feel like maybe not now is the right time, but we're going into hell in a handbasket, to be honest. That's all I've got to say about that at the moment. We need to... I've been reading that more people are reading the Bible and going to church, and honestly, I think that's a good thing. And a year ago, I didn't think that. So, yeah, I've learned to be a little more open-minded this year. I'm 40 years old, and I think from 40 till then, I would like to just relax more. I think that is that's the word, because blood pressure's going up, sugar's getting high, all these things that aren't supposed to happen to me are happening to me. And that sucks. And I don't like that. And it just shows my mortality. And I don't want to do that. We'll get back off the thing. One of y'all could have told me to get off of the slides. Sheesh. Y'all are supposed to be helping me. I'm just kidding. So yeah. Going to Florida next week. I'm excited about that. Some of the guys were talking about doing like morning Bible studies. That would be fun to get into. Kind of just sit there and listen and see what they have to say about some stuff. I'm excited to get different perspectives from people. This has been fun. This is like I said, what is this? 4 weeks. We're a month in now. I think it takes. We used to think that it was 21 days. That psychology book told me that it's 60 days where you start to actually build habits. It's more around that than the 21 day that I thought. So we've been doing that for a month. Damn, go to the beach, Bible study, or Met. I don't know what that last part means, Jay. Hopefully it's on the beach when we do it. I used to love the beach meetings. Oh, brother. I can't wait for the hangs, dude. I'm so excited to just kick it with everybody. We have a bunch of families that are going, and my brother's going, which I'm super excited about. I can't wait to hang out with my niece and nephews, and just see them play with my children on the beach. My oldest has some kids to hang out with. Madeline has some kids to hang out with. It's going to be fun. I can't wait. Yeah, I'm going to enjoy it. There's 40's been wild for me. I feel like it's almost like it is a midlife thing, I think. I almost feel like I'm a newborn coming into my 40s, because after that I have another 40 probably to live. Hopefully it's 50. Hopefully it's 40, honestly. As much as I worry about everything in the world, I have congratulations, brother. It's good to see you here. Last year in your 30s. I'm glad you're here, brother. So yeah. I feel like it's almost like a Phoenix situation where you just kind of come up from the ashes, and I feel like I'm burning pretty bright right now. And that's a new thing for me. I think that reading this psychology book along with the Bible has helped me do that. I think that's probably why I want to share that with you guys. Even if we have 3 viewers here, I don't care. Like, this is fun. I have learned a lot. And I have a feeling that I'm going to learn a lot more doing this. So I would love to do this for a long time, and we've done it for a month, and that's good. I have to do something. Sorry guys, my allergies are acting up. I have to do something. When I sit still and I don't find something to do, whether that's taking photos or building furniture or playing golf or buying a pool table or taking my shoes off, which, some of the things that I do are questionable. But this one is a good, safe, I'm at home doing comedy. That was another one. I did that for a little bit. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Wish I could do it, but I am needed here at home. And, when these kids grow up, maybe I can go back into that and say dumb stuff on the microphone. But until now, I'll do it in my basement. I'm looking to decorate this place. I asked ChatGPT to pull me up a photo of how to decorate this, and of course it gives me this really neat little picture. Hopefully I can show it to you guys. Let's see if I can show it. Podcast setup and tips. Yeah, look at this. That looks like a cool idea. Can you see it? You can't see anything. I'll post it on the thing. I'll post it on the discussion page. You guys can see it there. So yeah, that's the plans for this thing. I guess I will be reading to you. I don't want to do that, but maybe I can start figuring out a way to condense these things, and it'll be easier for us to just blow through it. I want to read through these mind-blowing facts. I bet there is some pretty neat stuff in there that would help. Jay, get to reading, brother. You've got 2 weeks to catch up, and I'm holding you to it. And just read it a little bit at a time. I mean, you only have, we read 1 through 11, I think. I have the, look, listen, we can go through it right now because it's just me and you right now, so I don't mind. Actually, honestly, dude, push the link. See if it works. Can you just do that for me? Can we, see if the link works and if you can, get into the thing? Because that would, I haven't been able to try that out, so you should see if it works for me. So click that link if you can, and then see if your picture can pop up right in that spot next to me right there. I guess that's it. I guess that's all we need to talk about. If you guys have any book suggestions, let me know. I am I'm talking too much. It's time to say bye now. What are we at? An hour and 30 minutes? Cool. Well, peace, guys. That was fun. It was better than last week. So, hopefully next week it gets better. Jay, I'm going to bed, bro. Good night, and I love this. All right, brother. Take it easy. I'm ending it. Peace, guys. Have a good one. Wrap it